Yeah, I do have two trades open at the moment. I have dollar Swiss from three weeks ago today. This is at my anniversary for the position actually. So yeah, short this one 3 weeks ago. It was looking good, but the market just consolidating. So I'm still sitting in the position. Again, with my rules, the way I trade, I look for the market to take me out of my position, whether it's a TP or a stop loss or break even. In this case, I have my stop loss at break even. So it's either price breaks up or breaks down and eventually takes me out of the position. But as we can obviously see, the market's still moving sideways. So I'm still nursing this position. And early in the week, Monday, I got into some Euro USD shorts. So I think I'm going up against Marco with his Euro USD longs. But I'm currently in some shorts that I had from early in the week. I'm currently break even and it's hit my first target into that level. I'm still looking for some more downside into this level here, but it's not moving too well. It's starting to bounce off that level of support. But of course, with the way I trade, I'm letting the market take me out. So if it does want to fall over to the downside, happy days. He wants to take me out break even, not to worry either. But those are the two current trades I'm in. There's some other markets I'm looking at, but nothing that's really too interesting at the moment. I'm looking at some longs as well for NZD/JPY, still give me higher highs and higher lows. I'm liking the structure. I'm looking for one more pullback. We've got a big daily zone here on the left as well. So got some nice confluence adding up. If you can come back here, it's a nice soft spot. Let's see what type of price action we get then. Hoping we can see another higher low form and continue this kind of channel to the upside. I'm also keeping an eye on Euro NZD as well. I was looking along this one coming into the week, but since then has broken through some structure. Higher time frames are still pretty bearish. I mean, still pretty bullish, sorry. So they're still seeing higher highs and higher lows. So I still do think there's upside for USD, but I'm waiting for a better opportunity, which I'm not seeing right now. So I think this one I'll probably be more interested coming into next week, but I am waiting for some buy opportunities. But at the moment, I'm kind of just nursing both of my open positions at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and going off of yen pairs, I'll share one yen pair that I actually didn't see earlier when I was doing my initial run through of charts. I actually really like GJ here personally. What you can kind of see here, guys, is that from a technical perspective, we have on GJ here, nice series of higher lows. I mean, yen pairs just in general, I've been just very bullish on for the last, I guess, I don't know, for a long time here now. And part of the reason for it is, again, we've talked about it before. The yen on the smart money tracker has just showed that from an institutional perspective, big money is very short the yen. And so I've been pretty much looking exclusively for long trades when talking about yen crosses. So GJ, EJ, and from a technical perspective here today, really nice level of resistance here has been holding. And so I'm not looking to jump into a trade at this current level, but I'm not afraid of the idea of looking for like breakout pullbacks. So like, even though, yes, I mean, the value in this trade clearly in hindsight was along this trend line, we had this kind of nice higher low series. I really don't mind, as long as I have a good risk reward, looking at a trade something like this, right? So
did you know our market scanning software, the EDGEFINDER, just got even better? Check out our newest asset, Bitcoin. That's right, Bitcoin was our most requested feature update, and we're so excited to announce Bitcoin is finally here with plans to add even more crypto in the future. We've also updated our most popular feature, the Smart Money Tracker, adding even more data than before. The EDGEFINDER not only automatically scores 8 different metrics for each asset to give it an overall buy, sell, or neutral score, but it also keeps track of bank and analyst positioning, stores historical fundamental data, shows how assets are trending throughout the day, and so much more. Right now, our YouTube viewers can get the EDGEFINDER at a discounted price when they use promo code A1YT. You can check out the EDGEFINDER with the link down in the description below, and again, get it for the special discounted price when you use promo code A1YT at checkout.
If we do get the clear above this this previous resistance, if we're able to break out strong here, possible breakouts, I still don't mind this type of trade because I think I can get decent risk reward. So like, for example, if this thing breaks and closes strong, I might float a trade out there where I look for this like 183.8 level to come back in. My stop loss would just be back below market structure here. I would use that sort of my as my defense line, and then looking for to just trail my stops as I usually would. Again, part of the reason for that is not just purely the technicals, but I know we're trying to stick mostly technicals on this component of the show, but those of you guys who have been watching for a while here now know that the institutional side, the COT data, has a nice little extra confirmation there for the trade that I really like. It's also at the top of our watch list. So that's going to be kind of anytime the watch list has something on it, I'll keep an eye on it. So we have a nice buy rating there for GJ and a lot of the yen pairs at this time. I think like what's kind of damaging to the trading industry, I think, is when people act like, it doesn't phase them one bit. Losing streaks never matter to them. Like you get sort of this like, oh, I'm an iron fortress. And like, okay, maybe you get better at handling and your actions are appropriate. You don't like YOLO the next trade or anything like that. But it still is not fun to take a loss, and it still has a mental effect to people who have been doing this for many years. So, Marco, what do you think? Anything to add on the losing streaks or dealing with losses?
Yeah.
What's the best way to deal with them?
Sure. So every majorly successful trader, I think that is online that you can trust, that has like 5 to 10 years of trading experience, will tell you that he has had huge drawdowns and huge losing periods, and that he probably felt like quitting in that time. If he doesn't tell you that, then most likely he is not a real trader, I would say, because you can't become successful without going through the bad times in trading. So that's my first answer. And the second one, for people that want to move their stop loss a lot of the time, try using a fixed stop for every single pair. That's what I do. I use a fixed stop loss of 12 pips for most of my pairs. I backtest with 12 pips. I always stick to it. It's a fixed rule. And so once you do it for like 3 months, it's not even going to be a question of should you move your stop. You're not going to move it. You're going to put it at 12 and it's going to stay there. So if you have trouble with that, try using a fixed stop loss. That's my advice. Yeah.
Fair enough. So, Miko, I want to come back to you. You went through some of your current trades. You talked about dollar Swiss, and do you have anything that's on your watch list? I guess anything really pressing for you to look at in the next week before our next call? What do you think?
Yeah, I do have. I do really like NZD-JPY. I do really like NZD-JPY. Again, yen pairs for me have been very, very bullish. I've been trying to get into pullbacks, but they just haven't been pulling back enough for me, myself, in the 4H time frame to get involved. But NZD-JPY is starting to form a bit of a bullish channel here. So I want to take advantage of this kind of structure and see if I can catch the next high low for another push up. Looking across multiple time frames, I'm seeing a lot of bullish momentum, monthly, weekly, daily, 4H. So from a top-down perspective, I do have a lot of wind in my sails, and 4H is the time frame I trade the most, or not necessarily trade, but for directional purposes, it has a lot of confluence, which is meeting what I'm looking for. So I'm just basically looking for a pullback into this area. Some people on my stream earlier were talking about breaking me test at the high here. Does look good, but I just the breakout is a little bit too shallow for me. I want price to come a little bit deeper first. So I'm looking at buys around 88, a little bit 88, 100, and I'll see what we can get there. But I think this is the top of my watch list at the moment. A lot of other pairs didn't quite materialize how I wanted them to. Gold didn't quite come into my area this week. USD broke through a level I was looking to long. So did Euro Pound as well. And yeah, some of the dollar pairs, I'm kind of just holding back at the moment, waiting for a bit more development. Pound USD. This one's starting to look quite bullish, but I'm not seeing a good entry for me to get involved. So I have to say NZD-JPY is at the top of the watch list for myself.
Okay. Yeah, I like that pair. I think, like I said, for me, and on the currency side, it would be GJ, as I mentioned, going through that chart. And I'll come back to these and talk about them in a moment. But then also, of course, the NASDAQ and S&P pullbacks I'll be watching here closely. Marco, anything else? Like I said, most pressing thing that you're looking at once the stream ends, anything that you're watching, I guess, the most closely?
Yeah, so I'm waiting for NFP, to be honest. So
okay.
NFP is tomorrow. usually stops me out, and I just want it to go through. And it can move the market. So next week I'll be seeing which pairs had a strong reaction and which pairs will start some trends. I'm seeing that the dollar pairs have definite potential. As I said, EU is on my radar. I'm expecting a nice uptrend from here. So let's see if NFP will go up, maybe push the markets a bit more. Also AU, we have this new scandal as well. So let's see what happens after this one. I would say EU and AU are on the top of my watch list. Yeah.
You know, maybe it was a turning point for the US dollar today. There's still more news to come out, so we shall see. Pound Canadian dollar is an interesting one. It's sort of got an inverted head and shoulders pattern. So if we take a look at this, so yeah, this is the day chart, guys, and I'm sort of seeing an inverted head and shoulders pattern on Pound Canadian dollar. So but I'm sure you do, but those of you that don't, you know, this is the shoulder, this is the head, and this is the shoulder, okay? You know, or we can see them, what's the opposite of inverted? I'm not sure. Or you normally see them like this, guys, head and shoulders pattern. But we're just seeing an inverted one. And the idea of a head and shoulders pattern is that when we break, you know, this level, you know, whatever distance this is, you know, price can do that again. Yeah, that's the idea behind the head and shoulders pattern. I mean, obviously, in reality, it doesn't always play out like that. But if we get a break of this level nonetheless, this level here, then, you know, I think we've got a nice trade back up to these highs here at least, with Pound Canadian dollar. So, yeah, but other than that, guys, yeah, just the US dollar pairs. Gold, obviously, you know, gold has come down like, I don't know, something that comes down very quickly. And, you know, it was just such a beautiful level. Yeah, it had so much confluence to, you know, obviously it was news related as well, but we've clearly been in a downtrend on gold. Yeah. And once it got back up to these highs here, not only was it a nice, you know, horizontal resistance level, but, you know, I also like the dynamic resistance of the moving average 20, you know, and we've got 2 bits of resistance there. I just thought this was such a lovely area to enter on, you know, from yesterday, really. And the news has just, you know, accelerated this downwards. So, yeah, that was you know, I love that entry. I cannot express to you how much I like that entry. But yeah, gold has already come down and hit target, guys. So yeah, those are a couple of things I was looking at.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, of course, Tom. Frank, I want to ask you a question about today. Would you mind pulling up the VIX chart on your own, on your end? What are your thoughts here today on the VIX? And tell for newer traders who are in the audience, what is the VIX? Why should it matter? And can it be helpful to people who don't necessarily trade stocks? Like who is the VIX helpful to?
Right. So the VIX is the volatility index, and it measures, I guess, high volume trades in the market, but it's usually mostly geared towards the downside. So if we see high volume move in the S&P or the NASDAQ and it just absolutely tanks on a high volume move, you'll see the VIX spike up. So it's basically just an inverted S&P, NASDAQ, Dow Jones. But so what we use the VIX for is you can trade it, obviously, but looking at the VIX, when you see certain spikes like this, it could indicate a number of things, but usually one or two. So a big spike in the VIX is, okay, volatility is increasing. We need to watch out on the short side because there's a lot of selling pressure in the markets. Or it could be a initial reaction. So you'll see a lot of the time the VIX doesn't stay where it's at. So a lot of the time you'll see a massive jump in price for the VIX, indicating lots of volatility, lots of bearishness, and then all of a sudden it just jolts right back to the lows, which means kind of a market scare, and then investors shake off all the fears. But you'll see over time that the VIX decreases in price because it's always depreciating. But the spikes are helpful to look at because the last couple days too, it hasn't just been today, it's been yesterday and kind of the day before, but it came back to the lows as well. So a couple jumps in price is not something to take lightly. I still would say that short term, we're going to expect a lot of volatility, especially we've had good economic news. NFP is coming out tomorrow. We're probably going to see a lot of uncertainty. Investors are betting on a rate hike. So short-term bearishness maybe, but the market's always resilient. It always shakes off fears. The question is when, and the VIX helps tell us that. I guess we'll have to see intraday price movements, and any downward pressure on the VIX will probably indicate that volatility's to the downside. Volatility is sort of declining, but this huge spike up 10%, 11% on the day would actually indicate, risk off environment. We have a fear gauge on the EDGEFINDER that measures this exact thing and takes the VIX is one of the things it takes into account.
We've got our JOLTS numbers coming out in about a minute and a half. What I've done here is I've set up our charts just so we could watch the reaction together. NASDAQ is in the top left, Euro is in the bottom left, dollar yen top right, and gold in the bottom right. The concept here, of course, we are coming into is we have sort of dual important economic data coming out, which could move the markets. We have JOLTS job openings. This will give us an idea as to what the job openings world is looking like right now in the US, which is an important indicator. But then at the same time, we have services PMI. Both of these key pieces of information are coming out in the next 50 seconds. So don't go anywhere. We're going to just react to the news here together. Again, this is showing, of course, above a 50 reading would indicate industry expansion. We're getting services specifically here today. And then, of course, on the JOLTS jobs openings, pretty straightforward. The number of job openings has been under $10 million. $10 million offerings. We'll see if that number changes above or below here in the next 24 seconds here. And again, I'm just going to jump over to the chart so we can keep an eye on prices to see how the reaction there occurs here today. Like I said, we've got all the different assets in the quadrants here coming up on this breaking news here right now.
I think I was just going to say before that, I think PMI is probably the bigger indicator, right?
Probably. And there's dollar yen popping here a little bit. We had some numbers coming out here. Dollar yen made an initial pop to the upside. Now gold rocketing off of that low. NASDAQ hasn't moved. Euro down here a little bit. Yeah, and you're probably right, Frank, in terms of the numbers. We have them pending here on Forex Factory. We'll see how they come in just moments from now. Sometimes there's just a bit of a delay, but you can see the markets react very, very quickly. So like we said, dollar yen popped here
lower.
Yeah,
but I don't really know I couldn't really tell you if JOLTS is a very big influencer or not, but PMI is higher, which is strong. So yeah, probably dollar strength today, betting on another rate hike.
Yep, and there's that number now. So we got 9.82 million jobs as well, job openings. And then on the PMI number coming out stronger than expected, 53.9 services PMI here hitting as we react to this. Again, NASDAQ down. I think, again, probably the bigger surprise today was the ADP, the jobs figures that came out. That was definitely the biggest surprising market move. So I would have been shocked if we got like a ginormous move again, but we did get a good reaction here. In terms of gold, we're seeing gold kind of off the lows, which is interesting. Dollar yen making a move back, Euro USD down, NASDAQ still down on the day, pretty strong. We'll see how that one goes from here.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.